Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we have two goals. Our first goal is going to be to update the comic model in order to add voting arrays to it. And then our second goal is we're going to update the create route for comics in order to include these arrays whenever the comics are initially created. So to do that, first step is to go into Models, Comic. And right now we don't have a way to track votes, so we're going to have to add that. I'm just going to put it down after the owner. And the way I'm going to do this is going to be just to add two arrays, one that's for upvotes, one that's for downvotes. And anytime a user votes, we're just going to put their username in this array because our usernames are unique and it makes it easier to work with. We could use object IDs for that. It just makes it a little bit harder to work with in Express, so I'm not going to do it that way. I want to take some time real quick and just point out that this is not the most efficient, this is not the most performant way to do this. There are better ways to do this if you're working with large-scale applications. However, they are much more complex. So because this is going to be a small application, we're not going to have millions of users. We're just going to go with the easy way that works perfectly well until you hit 500,000 users or something like that. Until you hit a large, kind of a critical mass of users, this will work perfectly fine. But at some point, when you eventually hit kind of the critical mass of users, whenever you have a lot of users, it starts to have some significant problems. At that point, if you've got 1 million users using your website, hire somebody who is better with databases to do this for you. Hire a database person to handle this and redesign this, okay? So really all we have to do is just add a couple of arrays. Upvotes is going to be an array of strings, and downvotes is going to be an array of strings. And that's it for this model. So let's save it and we can close it. But now the issue is whenever we're creating comics inside of our route, we're not including those. That's not a huge deal because MongoDB allows us to add properties to documents on the fly, but it's good practice to go ahead and set it here. And what I'm going to do is whenever I'm creating a new comic, let's see, that's the create, it's checking if the user is logged in. If they are, it's building this new comic object and then creating that. What I want to do is add on the upvotes array and the downvotes. So one thing we could do is we could assume that the user adding this comic wants to upvote it. In other words, hey, I'm adding this comic, that means I must like it. Now this is not necessarily always true, so this is kind of a user experience design choice you have to make for yourself. If I am making this for a real world application, I'm probably not going to put it because a lot of times people will add things to a database, especially something like a comic database or a movie database, and they may not like it. They just might want to be adding it for completeness. However, I'm going to go ahead and do that just so I can kind of show you how it works. It's relatively simple, and I'm sure you would have figured it out, but just to make it a little bit easier, all you have to do is just add request.user.username inside of this upvotes array, and it will go ahead and pre-populate that with their username. And that is it for now. Let's go ahead and launch it and make sure it still runs. Make sure we didn't have any typos. So cd into Yelp Comics and no daemon. We're running slow today. There we go. It is running. So let's go to our running URL import. Open it up. Still works, and I don't have any comics right now. I've deleted them out in preparation for this, so let's go ahead and add one. Log in as test. So I'm logged in. Let's add a comic. So now we have this new comic, and it was created successfully. We can't see the score because we haven't added it, so give me just a second. I'll log into MongoDB Atlas, and we can look at it there. All right, so here I am in MongoDB, and you can see that I now have an upvotes and a downvotes array, and if I open this up, you can see that the upvotes array is already populated with my username of test, and the downvotes array is empty. So that is working as intended. And the last thing we have to do is come back in here. We can shut down our server, get status. I'm just going to add them both and get commit, add basic rating or votings. Add basic voting. There we go. It gets empty, so git push origin master. And that is it for this video. We did two things. We updated the comic model in order to include arrays for both upvotes and downvotes, and basically we're just going to push usernames into those arrays. And we also updated the create route inside of comics to include those arrays whenever we're creating new comics. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help. Thanks.